Hi, I'm Steve with Moose Logic, and today we're here to have a quick discussion about what is virtual storage. I'm going to specifically talk about one of our favorite products, which is DataCore. They have two products, Sand Melody and Sand Symphony. And usually we're talking about these in an iSCSI SAN because they're for the SMB market, and because this is a SAN that runs on a Windows operating system, you can use virtually any kind of server class hardware and build a SAN out of it. And people hear us say a DataCore SAN running on Windows. Well, I've got to tell you, it's a very robust, very fast, excellent SAN product. So what we're going to talk about, what is virtual storage. I'm going to do this in two parts. I'm going to do it at a very high level. Today we're going to talk about what is thin provisioning and what are virtual volumes, which is a concept that DataCore uses. So, first of all, what is thin provisioning? Well, let's say you have a Windows server. Your application server is Windows, and you're going to put a SQL database on there. And today you've got maybe, let's say, 5 GB of data. But you know that this SQL database is going to grow really fast because it's a highly transactional database. You're doing an e-site selling products. And so you've got 5 GB today, but you know over the next few years you're going to need several hundred gigs of storage. You say, okay, well, I don't want to have to put a whole bunch of disks in today, have all this storage sitting there not being used. Rather, what I would like to do is buy the storage I need today and increase it later. That's what thin provisioning does for you. So inside of a DataCore, we say we're going to thin provision a LUN, and Windows handles a 2 TB LUN as its maximum size. So let's just say we give it a whole 2 TB. So Windows sees itself as having a drive that's a 2 TB drive. Now today you only have 5 GB of data on there, and you figure, well, in the next year I'm going to probably grow to 100 GB of data. So right now I'm going to buy storage for 100 GB for data. So I put a bunch of disks in here. Now I only have 5 gigs of actual physical data on it right now, but I put enough disks in it to handle 100 gigs. So over the year, it keeps growing and it keeps growing, and eventually you get to about, let's say, 80 gigs, which is equal to 80%, and the SAN starts giving you warnings that it's getting full on storage. You're going to need a little bit more storage. Well, rather than having to go back and change your LUNs and add a whole bunch more storage and move data around, all you need to do is go in and add some more disks. So let's say we're going to go from 100 gig. Maybe we found it's growing faster than we thought it would. So let's say now we're going to put in physical disks for 500 gigs. You've just increased the amount of storage you have in here without doing anything different to Windows. So now you have 500 gigabytes of storage, but you only have about 80 gigabytes of data. And again, as it grows, you're going to grow up, you're going to get up into the 400 range, and you're going to add more storage, and so on and so forth. You are going to max out when you hit 2 TB. That's a limitation of Windows, not of the SAN. Now, what is the second concept of virtual storage? DataCore specifically has a concept called, when they talk about virtual storage, it's a methodology in order to eliminate your single point of failure. Traditional SAN model would have a controller and a second controller usually, especially in a fiber channel, iSCSI as well now. And usually you have some kind of a drive shelf underneath it with a bunch of drives in it, and that's connected to each of your 2 controllers. And that's generally considered highly available. You lose this controller here takes over and continues to present your data. Well, if you happen to lose this drive shelf, still a single point of failure. So what DataCore does, and as I mentioned, it's a product that runs on a Windows-based operating system, which means you can use any type of server you'd like, good server class, Dell, HP, Sun, whatever you'd like. And what DataCore will do is we put them out there in a pair, running synchronous replication. You have your drives inside each of your SANs, and that data is going to be replicated all the time. Now, in order to make that data available to your server, let's again say we have a Windows server up here, and a Windows server is not going to be able to look at both at the same time. Not possible. So what happens is you create a volume on both sides of your SAN. Volume being just like a LUN, and we've always used that term. Then you created what is called a VVol, a virtual volume. Virtual volume is comprised of the two volumes. This is virtual, but this is what the Windows, or the VMware, or the Xen server, or the Hyper-V is looking at, is this virtual volume. The operating system does not have any idea that it's actually being backed up by two SANs with volumes on each one. They're synchronously replicated, they're highly available. You lose one server, no problem, other one takes over. So that's the concept of a virtual volume and how it relates to virtual storage. And I'll continue next week with a little bit more about how this all plays into multipathing and high availability. I'm Steve with Moose Logic. Thanks for being with us.